What's going on? All right, so today we're back on the Dakota. This will be part 3 in the series of the build on this truck. Now, in the previous video, we put this back half frame section in. Had a lot of rust, and that's a common issue, like I said in the previous video, where this frame is put together right here. These two pieces that overlap each other, they're notorious to rust out inside here. So normally you would just separate the pieces and paint them, coat them, whatever the case may be. But on this one, we've got these rivets that are in the spring hangers that I'm going to have to cut out. Now, I'll end up having to replace these with some 8mm bolts, or 8mm, grade 8 bolts. That's usually about the standard. Once I drill these out and find out exactly what size I need, they're normally 1/2 inch, but it could be a little bit different. That's going to allow us to basically take and separate this entire back section off the frame by unbolting this cross member and the bolts that go through. And then once we do that, then what we can do is we can clean inside of here and coat it really good with some rust shell or Pour 15, even just regular paint. Anything that's going to keep the corrosion from building inside of there. My goal is to build this truck to last for a while. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get started on cutting these rivets out. We'll probably try to drill one and see how that works. It's been a long time since I've took these out. You know, we used to do it with a torch. But I really don't want to damage anything. Most of the time when we take them out with a torch, we were replacing these hangers. So I'd rather just try to get them out and reuse the hangers and not damage the frame. So let me get at it. All right, so as we can see, drilling is really not an option. These things are hardened. So I think what I'm gonna do is just back up and punt and probably take the side grinder, cut a couple of slots in it and see if we can knock the top off of it with an air chisel. We got these ground off flush. This one might have got a little bit deep. I'll look at that when I take it off. Might have to fill that in a little bit with a welder. I was trying not to do any damage to this spring hanger itself. Hopefully now, a little tap with the hammer, send the camera flying. Well, it's not wanting to cooperate, that's for darn sure. I'll just have to get in here and we'll try to drive these back some with the punch and a hammer, and we'll just try to get these pins out. That's all we can do. I really want to get them out without damaging anything. So what I ended up doing to finally get these to come off is basically drill the ends of them to a point where I could get the bracket to slide off of it. They are press fit in there for sure. This one actually drove out, but none of these wanted to budge. But now that I've got them kind of recessed, I can get my punch in there and it'll hold in place, and hopefully I can just go ahead and knock these the rest of the way out. Basically getting them ground off on the ends and drilling them, that seemed to help the most. So now we just got to do the other side, get those cut off. We've got all 4 of these knocked out. Now I've got to remove this bolt. It's missing a bolt right here, which I think was holding a bracket that got took off when I was taking everything loose. Got this one, and this one, and then we'll have the same configuration on the other side over there. And then at that point, we should be able to slide the back half of the frame out. And you can already see in here, it's got some corrosion in there. But we're gonna clean all that up, clean all this up, get everything prepped down the metal. And then I've got my rust shell that we're gonna coat every bit of this with. So what I wanted to do here is show you how I done this. Basically, you can see I just drilled into these. Not really all the way through or anything, but just enough to get past the lip right here so that there's nothing binding. And if it works like I think it should, yeah, that one's already coming loose there. So this one's separating, you can see the little rust line in there. So we'll get these knocked out and then this will be off and we'll be ready to start disassembling. Now that we got the back half off from here, if you look up inside this rail, you can see where the scale and the damage has already started on this frame. And this frame's from the south. It's not a northern frame like the one that came out of this truck. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna knock all this scale off. We're gonna clean all this up. We're gonna treat it and then we're gonna paint it. And we're gonna do the same thing on the frame half that goes in here to clean it and get it prepped and do the exact same thing. Coat it down good and then we'll slide it back in as easy as we can to try to keep from scratching the coating off. But this is gonna save this truck for a long time to come to get rid of all the scale and seal all this stuff off. Chrysler should have never built this like this. I don't know what they were thinking, but you know, engineers get paid more than I do. We've got all this stuff scaled, cleaned, wire brushed, and now it's been coated. I'm using the Rust Bullet black shell. It's a rust preventative coating. It's supposed to be able to be standalone. You don't have to paint back over this or anything like that. You can pretty much just put it on, let it dry. Now I have put this coat on twice and I've let it cure for 2 days. I've done the back half of the frame as well. And then what I have done, and I don't know whether it's good or bad or indifferent, but I've got an old bar clamp that I flip the ends around backwards and I have spread the frame out back here. I took that cross member loose on one side and got the frame spread apart. What I've done that for is so I can bring the new frame in and kind of set it in and then drop it down in here so I don't have to slide it down through here and grind all this fresh coat of paint off. I want to keep as much of this coating intact as possible. So that's my theory, is to set it down in here, drop it in on one side, lower it down, and then set it in on the other side, and then release the frame rails. And if I have to, I can always flip that bar clamp around, put it on the outside, and pull it back together. And then utilize the bolt holes and stuff to line everything up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it back in here and see how it sets in, and then we'll go from there. Spreading it apart made a big difference in putting it together. Once I got it spread in here, I was able to set one side in and then drop that other side in. I scratched it up just a little bit over there. You can see right there, but that's not a big deal. I can touch that up. The main thing of it is I didn't damage anything on the inside there. We didn't scratch that rail up either side. So we've got that coated. Now I've got it pulled together. Got my bolt holes lined up here. Got 2 pins in it to hold it. That one over there will need a little bit of manipulation to get it to line up, but that shouldn't be a problem. And now we just start putting the bolts back in. And I've got to bolt the spring hangers back on, which I've got 1/2-inch bolts for that. And I should probably have to drill that out just a little bit to get the bolt to fit in it, which is going to be fine because we're going to put 1/2-inch grade 8 bolts in it. Yep, there it is. So we got the cross member bolted back in. We got our spring hangers back on with grade 8 bolts, both sides. Use lock nuts on the back side of them. The whole back half of the frame is now coated in rust encapsulator, so we don't have to worry about it. It's going to be good to go. Still got to finish cleaning up the rear end, do some more coating on it, and get the leaf springs put in, get everything cleaned up, get the back end put back together, and then we'll start moving forward on the front. So the objective is to take this cross member off, clean underneath it, coat it. We'll keep coming down. I'll take a wire wheel, knock some of this scale and stuff off that's up here, and we'll coat that. But probably won't do any of this up here until I pull the motor and transmission up. I'm actually going to pull those out. And the transmission was just built when I bought the truck. So there shouldn't be anything to do with it other than service it. The engine, we're going to pull out, pull the heads, put valve stem seals in it, put a full timing set in it. Got new exhaust manifold studs because I know these are going to break off and be a pain in the butt. We're going to flip it over on the stand, check all the rod and main bearings in it, check the oil pump strainer, all that stuff's to come. And then once that's done and we're ready to set it back in after cleaning the frame and everything up front and getting it coated, we will be ready to start setting the bed and the body and stuff back on and getting the fuel tank back in and getting everything set up and ready to go. All right, so there we go. That is the far rear section of the frame, separated, coated, and reassembled. Like I said before, that's a common problem on these trucks. We want to get in there, we want to get that coated and get that stopped now. So we've got it, everything took care of, and we're ready to start moving forward. We can start getting everything set up to put everything back together. So stick with us. We're going to be coming to you with more videos. Hit that subscribe button, tick that bell, drop comments or questions down below. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in, guys. Thanks.